I've seen a lot of people post comments and talk about Hunter x Hunter returning recently, and that's always a good thing. One of the best animes of recent times attracting more people to it years after being released is something I think every studio aims to do when they make an anime series. But that being said, I've also seen numerous people say that they are waiting for the return of the anime series and stated that they have no intentions of reading the manga until then. With how long it takes Yoshihiro Togashi, the author of Hunter x Hunter, to release chapters for the series, it seems that many fans are left with only negative outlooks, saying we will probably never get an anime adaptation of Hunter x Hunter ever again, and that it won't be Madhouse adapting the series anymore because so much time will have passed. But I then thought to myself, with the massive popularity of Hunter x Hunter's anime adaptation, and it having introduced so many new people to the series, it honestly makes me wonder, will we ever see a return of the Hunter x Hunter anime? I think we will. I believe we may see one sooner than you might think as well. There are in fact a number of reasons towards why I think this will be the case. So let us dive straight into the question, when will the Hunter x Hunter anime return? First of all, the original Madhouse anime series for Hunter x Hunter ran from 2011 to 2014 and adapted everything from the first arc of the series right up until the Hunter Chairman election arc, which was the most recent arc of the series at the time of release. Going chronologically straight through the story of the manga and cutting as little corners as possible, this series spanned a whopping 148 episodes and aired back to back without missing a single week, besides from the occasional holiday. The ending was conclusive in that the main narrative arc of the series had been solved. Gon found his father, Ging Freaks, and had a heart-to-heart with him atop the world tree, basically retelling the events of the entire series. Many people would cite this as one of the main reasons why Hunter x Hunter's anime will not be returning, because it doesn't need to. The story ending at that point makes the anime wrap up the sense of adventure from the first episode in a way that makes it seem whole, but as we all know, the story doesn't end there. It continues on to another arc, going even deeper into the world of Hunter x Hunter, exploring a mythical land far off the borders of the map of the human world. The Dark Continent, a whole new massive arc of exploration that will undoubtedly bear much resemblance to the Chimera Ant arc, which has so far been the largest, most adult arc of the series, dealing with the murky line between what makes someone a hero and what makes someone a villain. So far, the Dark Continent arc seems to be making its atmosphere very similar to that of the Chimera Ant arc, in that we have multiple parties, some driven by unjust motivations, and others inconsequentially drawn into this larger power struggle, pitted against each other, with sometimes deadly results for even the most long-term of characters. And yet the arc still seems to be in its introduction. After 22 chapters, we're only just barely getting to the beginning of the journey, and yet the journey ahead looks indeterminately far ahead, to the point where I wouldn't even dream of making a prediction for when this arc will finish, as I'll likely be in my mid-20s. Either way, with 22 chapters of the manga unadapted, and how Madhouse adapted the main anime, with mainly 2 to 3 chapters being adapted per episode, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility if we received a follow-up anime based off the beginning section of the Dark Continent arc in the near future. A couple more chapters from the next time that Yoshihiro Togashi comes back, and we might have enough content to see a single core return from one of anime's most beloved series. Madhouse Productions have adapted another series similarly to how I believe they are adapting Hunter x Hunter, and the series I am referring to is Hajime no Ippo, the anime about a young boy who wants to train to be a professional boxer. The first series for this anime was way back in 2000, lasting for 2 years until it caught up to the manga in 2002. The first anime series was also somewhat conclusive, but with the manga obviously continuing past this point. The next year, in 2003, there was a film and an OVA following the immediate sequential events of the manga, which had just been revealed in manga format after the original series. This is where my basis comes from when I speculate that we may see some small form of a sequel for the next arc of Hunter x Hunter, by splitting the series up into parts like a movie did for Ippo. Besides this, even if we don't get some immediate sequel from Madhouse, all is not lost, as Ippo has received a follow-up some 6 years later in 2009 with New Challenger, and then another 4 years later in 2013 with Hajime no Ippo Rising. For over 13 years, Madhouse has continued to acquire the rights and adapt the series, which they have stuck with for so long, and Ippo was nowhere near the levels of popularity and high ratings that Hunter x Hunter is. Japan had 4 years to wait in between one volume of Hunter x Hunter, and after all that time, volume 33 sold 650,000 copies in its first week, dominating the Japanese manga charts for the entirety of that month. And I think the anime had more than a little influence on this number, drawing more and more people to this incredible series day by day. Even now, this ever-growing flock of patient fans that are clearly still into the series show that there is relatively low risk if they ever decided to make a sequel anime series. Additionally, Madhouse Studios has recently met success after success after success with most of their recent franchises, so it places the company in the perfect position to take a risk with something like a limited series with Hunter x Hunter and still be safe. It wouldn't be the first time that Madhouse has revived one of their series in a project for a specific, smaller audience, as opposed to making something that solely is out there to make a profit, where it would normally be aimed towards just the Japanese demographic. What I'm referring to is Trigun Badlands Rumble, the anime original movie of Trigun, an anime from the 90s. After the original 90s anime's acclaimed success, which came primarily from the West, Madhouse decided that they would make an anime movie targeted towards this demographic audience. The director even said in a Q&A session before the first screening of the film that was in America that the film wouldn't have been made without the success that those fans gave to the series. Because of this, I believe Madhouse will eventually get around to making some form of anime continuation for the Hunter x Hunter series in the near future. As I speculated before, the anime coming back now would be single core if Togashi came back with a couple more chapters that rounded off the beginning section of the arc well enough. But an anime series of multiple episodes isn't the only possibility. Now this is only speculation on my part, but volume 34, the next volume of Hunter x Hunter's manga, has had more than enough chapters to be published for about 6 months now, and yet it still hasn't received a volume release, even in Japan. Many count this up to the assumption that Togashi, who suffers from chronic back pain, may be struggling to create artwork for the upcoming volume. But 6 months? I hardly think that's the case, and there is already artwork published with some individual chapters that could be used on the volume, as it hasn't appeared in any volume before it, only in chapter format. So what could be the reason for this delay? Could there be a possibility of an OVA release with the volume developed by Madhouse? If so, this would explain the delay in publication, as the anime production process typically takes 9 months to produce a single episode. This theory is backed up even more by recent events that have taken place in the manga. Slight spoiler, if you've read the Dark Continent chapters, then you know that there is a short and sweet fight between two very important characters that takes place a little into the story but is essentially irrelevant to the timeline of the story, so it could be adapted as a standalone episode, especially in the form of an OVA. What do you think of my theory? Could we be seeing another adaptation of Hunter x Hunter from Madhouse at some point in the future? Do you think there definitely won't be one? If you did, then comment why you think there is so little chance. Anyhow, that's going to wrap up another prediction video from me, Alex Enterprises 1. If you enjoyed the video and want more, then please show some appreciation with a subscription and a like. Many thanks.